Hi, my name is Ralph from Cloudsill Succulents, and today I want to talk to you about variegated Aptenia Cardifolia and how to treat them after they arrived via mail on your doorstep. Variegated Aptenia Cardifolia comes in three versions in our shop. This is a fully established plant, as you can see, good developed root system, huge size and already flowering. This option would come in a medium-sized parcel. The second option would be a young plant. You see already a root system developed, but no flowers yet, and it needs to grow still a bit. That would come in a large letters. And the third option for the experienced gardener would be a simple cutting. So this flower still would need to develop roots. Now I want to show you quickly how ideally you pot an fully established plant at home. Ideally, if you want to keep it as a solitary plant, you keep the pot size as small as possible because it will make the water regime easier. I come to that a bit later during the film. We use compost soil, 50% compost soil and 50% sandy soil mix. No extra grit. Keep the plant in one hand and then loosely fill around. The occasional tuck. Fill it up. Bit of tucking so that the excess soil can go. Whoops, we lost the cut, we lost the leaf, and that should be it for now. The same applies to the young plant or the rooted cutting. A bit of soil in the bottom, hold the plant and loosely fill up the pot. Again, pot size should be chosen wisely, not too big because of the watering later. Tuck it a bit like that. That's all the pressure it really needs. Maybe a little bit with your fingers, but that's it. This is the rooted or the unrooted cutting. You just take a small pot with loose soil. I described the mix earlier. And tuck it in gently. Maybe give it a bit of a pressure there. And leave it like that. Water management for the newly potted plants is reasonably simple. The big plant, I just water around roughly where the roots are. And this is just to get rid of air pockets amongst the roots for now. And that's it. Same applies to the small rooted plant. A bit less water, of course. That's why I said earlier, don't choose the pots too big, because then there's a chance that the big amount or the greater amount of soil will absorb more water, which is not good for succulents in general. The unrooted cutting, no water at all. The reason is quite simple. It doesn't have any roots yet, so it couldn't absorb any water. However, watering it now would only help the plant to rot, maybe because it's too moist. So leave it in dry soil until it starts producing roots. If you followed all these steps I earlier talked on about, do the plant a favor and don't expose it straight away to full sun, bearing in mind she just spent 2, maybe up to 5 days, depending on the speed of Royal Mail delivery services, in complete dark. So it needs to adjust a bit to daylight again. So ideally you want to keep her in a light, shady place, like for instance here, for 2 to 3 days to adjust, and then you can move her to a final position in the most sunny space you have on your windows. Going forward, once the plants are established, adjusted to no sunlight, one question I get asked very often is, Ralph, how do I distinguish that the plant needs watering? Well, first of all, you can do a weight test. This one is reasonably heavy because we watered it, and it will be much lighter in a week's time. It all depends on the exposure to sunlight, if there's a radiator maybe underneath the windowsill during winter times. Some people, more advanced, they use a moisture meter. However, not everybody is in possession of this. I would recommend, look at the plant. She will start crumbling a bit when she's thirsty. Same with the small plant. The rooted cutting, there's a bit of a tricky one. How do you distinguish that they have roots? You will see the leaves will become lusher. You will see new growth eventually, and the plant will look more lifeful. And then I wouldn't recommend pulling it out and checking if there are roots, although it's tempting. You will see the growth, and then you can start with light watering, as described earlier with the other plants. Another question I get asked quite often is, Ralph, do we need to feed the plants? Well, first of all, I should say succulents grow in soil naturally that is very poor. Same as the watering regime is very, very, very low. they are survivors, born survivors. We pot them in this mix of 50% organic compost, 50% white sand. So that will be enough nurture for a year for this plant. After a year in this pot, the plant will show some growth, and you will need to repot it into a bigger plant. So you just replace the excess soil, and you will see there will be a lot of roots in there with new compost in the bigger pot. That should do the nutrition. However, if you want to give her some extra bits, but be very gentle with feeding. They don't want to be overfed. You can use nitrogen, any form of liquid nitrogen fertilizer, add it to the water, but be very careful with that.